Hi, we're back together again and glad you can join us. We're looking at the next I can statement, and this time we're going to start solving these systems, they're called. That's where you have two equations, and you're trying to see where the two equations cross on the graph, or where the x and the y that works for both of them at the same time. And up until now in the class, we've been using a graph to do it. And today we're going to look at how you could do it with algebra instead. So you're not always going to have a piece of graph paper just hanging around. And honestly, when you're graphing, sometimes it can be really frustrating. And numbers aren't always nice. They're not always pretty, but you can find the solutions using algebra. In case it helps you out, the two graphs that are on this particular lesson are two graphs that are from the Jamboard number 17. So if you need to hit pause on this video and use the graphs to help you with some of your graphing from Jamboard number 17, feel free to do that. Several of you do have the graphs done, but several of you still need to get them done. And the graphs are a really great way to pick up Algebra 1 points. So you can finish Algebra 1, move on with your life. All right, so what we have here is we have two equations. This first one is y equals negative 3 plus 3x. That's this green line right here, okay? And then this other one is y equals 1 plus 2x. And so what I'm about to show you is just called substitution. And the reason it works is because both of these are neatly written as y equals. So sometimes as you venture further into your math career, you might find that you need to do a little work to get these into shape for graphing, but these are nicely set already. So the way that the math works is that you got your y equals negative 3 plus 3x, and what you do is you substitute that in for this y right here. Since they both equal y, this little math magic trick makes it so when I rewrite 3 plus 3x, equals 1 plus 2x, the y is magically gone. And this is going to make it much easier for us to figure out what the value of x is. A lot of your teachers probably in the past have said these magic words. They've said, set them equal to each other. That's what we just did. All right, I'm going to bring in Mr. T so I can do a little bit of algebra work. Your job is to get anything that's got x's on it to one side, anything that's got y's on it, or I'm sorry, just constant numbers to the other. Call myself a little math shepherd, trying to get all the x's together and get all the y's on the other side of the fence, or all of the numbers on the other side of the fence. I look to see which number in front, that's called the coefficient, is bigger, 3 or 2. And since 3 is bigger, that's the side I'm going to move all of my x's to. And maybe not every math teacher that you've ever worked with or mathematician you've worked with does that, but this is what I'm a fan of, not working with negative numbers if I can help it. And so that's why I usually try to get the biggest x's together. So how do I move a plus 2x? That's right, I minus it. So I'm going to write minus 2x on both sides. And this is going to have no impact on the negative 3. But what is 3x minus 2x? And the correct answer is 1x. Some of you are snazzy and you already have figured out that it's just x, and that's okay. But I get paid to write that 1 in front. All right, what's 2x minus 2x? 0x. And what's anything times 0? 0. So for all practical purposes, this is gone. And all you're left with is the 1. So we're going to write that 1 there. Now we need to get this negative 3 over here to the 1. And so how do you move a negative 3? That's right, you add 3. And whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. All right, and 1 plus 3 is 4. And really you don't have any more work to do. If this was like a 2x or a 3x or a 4x, you'd have to divide. But we're starting you off nice. We just have an x. So x equals 4. Now we wish we were done, right? But when we're doing this, we're looking for the spot where it crosses, and we're looking for 2 coordinates. This at least tells us that the x is at 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I follow that up, that seems pretty reasonable. So I'm going to put a 4 right here. All right. So the second part of this is that you have to find the y. And we're saying that we don't have a graph off to the side to look at. We're just using algebra. This is just confirming our work. So you're going to look at these 2 equations and you're going to decide which one do I want to plug it into. And you may have had math teachers at one time or another that actually had you plug it into both to prove that you got the right answer. We're going to go ahead and have a little faith and just pick one or the other. I'm a fan of not working with negative numbers if I can help it. So I'm going to take this one, y equals 1 plus 2x, and use that one to find my answer. And I'm going to substitute one more time. I'm going to put that 4 in. I like to say, like the Glade air fresheners, we're going to plug it in. And if a number's up against a letter, what does that mean? That means times. All right. Moment of truth. Are you going to do 1 plus 2, or are you going to do 2 times 4 first? Hopefully you said 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And what is 1 plus 8? And the correct answer is 9. All right. So that's going to tell you what the other coordinate is. And we want to make sure we write them as coordinates. Some of you have been doing like a backslash in between, but we want to move away from that. That's more for doing slope. We want a parentheses with a comma in between. So sure enough, we check over 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is the spot where they cross. All right, so we've confirmed that spot. And again, if you need this for your number 17 Jamboard, feel free to use this graph to help you out. All right, we got one more example for you. Again, what I'm showing you is something called substitution. This is the system right here. And these are the equations for it. And then we're looking for this magic spot here where they cross. So we're going to say that this 2x minus 1 is the black line. And we're going to say that the negative 5 plus 3x is the purple one. And then we're going to do a little substitution. So we're going to put all of this where you see the y. And we're going to say 2x minus 1 equals negative 5 plus 3x. All right, and then we're going to bring in our t-chart. Again, some teachers call that setting them equal to each other. It really is a version of substitution where you're making that y go away and you're substituting 2x minus 1 for it. Okay, you're going to try to get all your x's to the same side. I still feel like I would want to get to the 3x side because 3 is bigger than 2x. So even though it says a minus 1 right here, how do we move the positive 2x? Hopefully you said subtract 2x. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. All right, so what's left on the left side? Negative 1. And then what is 3x minus 2x? Okay, again, that's 1x. We're giving you nice ones. Okay, some of you might just write plus x because you're highly trained professionals. All right, now we got to get this alone. How do we get that minus 5 out of there? That's right, we add 5. And what is negative 1 plus 5? That's correct, it's 4. 4 equals 1x. And if you wanted, you could divide both sides by 1. Or you can just drop the 1. Or maybe you didn't write it at all because you already saw what was coming. All right, so that means that our x coordinate is 4, which that seems to line up. Are we done? And then you say no, and then I say, do we wish we were? And then you say yes. All right, so we're going to go back and we're going to substitute this into one of these two equations. I'm partial to this top one because it looks simpler than the bottom one. The bottom one has got that -5. And I'm always trying to keep from anything bad happening, like try to prevent little mistakes because there's enough things that could go wrong without trying to make it more difficult for yourself. Remember, you just want to get through these so that you can get the points you need for Algebra 1. It also feels pretty good when you can get through one of these beasts. All right, so we are plugging that 4 in for the x. And then are we going to do 2 times 4 first, or are we going to do -1? Hopefully you said 2 times 4 first. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 1 is 7. So, big final question. Is the answer 4, 7 or 7, 4? Hopefully you said 4, 7. And not just because you found the 4 first, but because when we list coordinates, we always do x first and y second. And if you have a question about that, just remember x comes before y in the alphabet. And if you're like, but wait, I thought we did the y first, you're probably thinking of slope. All right, so again, this is another one of the graphs that's from the Jamboard number 17. So if you want to pause it and you want to have it help you out with that graph of these equations, go ahead. Otherwise, there's going to be a new Jamboard for you to work on some new problems, and I'll be here to coach you and help you out. The more you do, the more points you get. Let's do this. Let's get you through Algebra 1.